Hey, 1 second. Let me make sure everything's working properly. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're doing good. Let me try that again. Okay, we're going to want something in between. How about now? Okay, that looks like it's good. All right. Let me just, shoot, I need to turn on the AC. 1 second. It is hot and muggy out. All right. Well, I think we're doing okay. Let me just get everything started. I have a couple more settings I have to set up, and then we should be okay. Okay, I think we're good. All right. So, that being said, let us get started. Okay. Oh, 1 second. I still have something left over from the collab, but we're good now. Okay. So, let me get you all familiar with this project. So, the reason that I'm doing this is because I'm not happy with one of my with my headphone jack specifically. And the reason why is because how it's set up now uh, causes some issues. And to sort of like show you what it does. Okay. Wacom tablet, go away. Show you what it does. Here, I'll just open desktop. Yeah, so the issue that is happening is that you can already see here the difference between how this USB slot is holding itself up and then how this my jack for my cable, you can see how it's bending down on my setup. And one might argue that Acer, why don't you just get a better setup? And to that I say, silence, this is how I've done it for years. But the super easy solution to this would be to get one of those 90-degree 3.5 millimeter jack adapters. And so what I would do is I plug the jack in here. Let me draw a little bit. So when we do engineering, we start with like a problem statement. So my problem, and I apologize, I wanted to use OneNote, but apparently you can't use it without a Microsoft account, and I'm like, nope, screw that. I am not doing that on this device. Although OneNote is really good when you're using it. I don't want an account associated with this computer. So our problem is that we have a sad limp headphone jack. So that's our problem. So there are a couple ways we could go about this. So let's brainstorm certain solutions. So like, why is this a problem? It's a problem because it's putting strain, it's bending. So unfortunately, because it's bending, it's eventually going to snap off. And I don't want to do that because I paid pretty good money for these headphones. Not like super audiophile money, but I did pay over $100 for these headphones, and I really like them. And I don't want them to be sagging and breaking off. Because technically, yeah, I could splice in another wire, but I don't want to have to do that in the first place. And regardless, with this setup, it will continue being a problem. So there are a couple of things we could do. We could avoid the problem. We have our jack here. We could avoid the problem altogether, because the reason this is happening is because of the weight of the cable. Because it's a very heavy duty cable compared to the last version of this that I got. They're Grado, I think 120X headphones. And the E version, which is not sold anymore, had a lighter cable. I actually do not like these braided cables. They are too stiff for what I do with them. And I actually would have preferred like the rubber cables that came on the E series. But what we can do is we can do something like this. You can get like... One second. Why did I even do that? Let's see. Let's just use a brush size. Go up brush size. Yeah, perfect. So we can do is we can get like an extension. And how this would solve it is that let's go with the pros and cons, because there are pros and cons to every design choice that you do. So the pros of the extension are that, one, it's easy and cheap, because this extension is lighter than and more flexible than this cable. And the other thing is that it's easily replaceable. So we could, like, in the worst case scenario, we could use this as an expendable item. And it's much better financially to have to replace a what was it, like a $5 like short cheapo cable than it is to repair or replace my, you know, very much more expensive headphones. The downsides of these are that depending on the make and the length and the shielding of the cord, the con is that you can get a possible hit. This is a big possible to audio quality. And this is a big maybe. It's simply, we do not know until we spend the money and try. Another thing that I saw that was out there that's like pre-bought are these 90-degree elbows. And the pro of this is that it's small, and then it changes the direction that the weight is doing. So it shortens this length that the weight is out. So like this plug is like all the way out here, and it shortens the distance. So it's not, even though it's the same amount of weight, it's not going to bend or stress this port as much. But the other issue, unfortunately, is that with that, I've been looking at reviews of these elbows, and they're about the same price as these extension cords, but Electricity does not like being bent at a 90-degree angle like this. And you'll notice this if you use 90-degree elbows, like with charging cables, or another big one is like with coaxial cables for internet. You will notice you get a significant decrease in accuracy. You will get many more errors, and you will slow your connection. And the reason why is because as electricity bends like this, we have magnetic fields that are being generated by the current, and we're changing this magnetic field as we go around this corner, and that causes that interacts with the electrons in other locations. So it's not a problem. Like, the reason why these work really well is because compared relatively, the curve is small compared to this 90-degree bend. So that's the con, is this you are almost guaranteed to lose quality. And from the reviews I've seen, a lot of these are not made very well, so they don't seat the jack properly. So poor build quality. Another thing that I was thinking we could do is we could continue with this. If this is like the laptop, we just continue using this jack. But we make some sort of support here that stiffens this and places it. So basically what I would do is, this is a terrible drawing. Maybe if I use a different color. Red. Yeah. And go up in size. Yeah. So other thing we can do is we can make like a little platform here. And the benefit of that is that we can still use the same cable, but instead of the forces that are going down here, they're going to get applied up here. And this part of the laptop frame is much stiffer, and we alleviate the strain on the jack. So we alleviate strain. And the other benefit is that it's something that if we don't like, we can easily change because we designed it. So we can iterate. Technically, money-wise, we're not spending as much because we're 3D printing this. So it's like what, a couple of cents for a piece? The downsides, so it's cheapest. The downside is that, one, this part over here is curved, so it's difficult to design. It's going to take more time. And there's no guarantee that it's going to work. So we might have, that goes into the time thing. We might need to iterate more. So that being said, I like, I kind of want to have a design project. So the pro of that is it's something I want to do. So I'm just saying here, if I were to go like this and I would tell like my boss, it's like, hey, I want to design this part, I would probably get a lot of pushback because we have these right here. And technically, audio quality is not strictly necessary for what I'm doing, but I like it. And then I also would be interested in having this for other stuff. So we've chosen our solution here. So now comes time to like design it. And so once again, there are a couple configurations we can make and a couple decisions we can make. But in the end, we won't know how good they are until we just try them. So I'm just going to pull up another window in Paint. View, zoom in, size tiny. So let's try a couple of configurations. So something we could do is we could encase this entire thing, and that's what I was initially thinking of doing. However, so it would be a part that looks something like this from the side. And let me get an eraser really quick. Back to here. And we would like encase the jack into here. Man, this drawing is not as good as it is on OneNote. The issue I see going into this is that it's hard to align stuff on here. I have a picture that I'm using as a reference. Keep your memory safe with OneDrive. Nope. No, thank you. Okay, let's just open that. So I'm trying my best to have a piece that fits in here. Like right here, but the issue is that this is kind of hard. Hey Pond, welcome on in. Yeah, we're doing an engineering stream. But yeah, the issue comes to that Dell and their infinite wisdom decided to make this weird like curve here, which technically is good, because if you drop it, there aren't sharp corners, and so that's good. But for designing something for what I'm trying to do, it's kind of rough. But yeah, welcome on in, Palant. How's your day been? So we could encase it, but then like spacing here gets kind of difficult. So I had another idea where we basically take this curve right here. Okay, there we go. Design it like this. And then we basically cradle with straps like this, the jack. And the reason why I like this one is because if we get the alignment wrong, we can put shims in there to raise up how the jack is seated on here. And then we can also kind of like play with this curve a little bit about how far down this we go so that we get the maximum strain relief off of this. That is a problem we're fixing. If it helps you, I'm doing well. Well, yeah, I mean, there are cheaper and easier solutions. I was just going over them. So this is kind of what we do in the engineering process is we identify a problem. And the problem is that I have this sad limp jack here, and it's because my headphone cord is so heavy. So the issue is that it looks like this. So you can see it's very clearly sagging. It's sad and it's having performance issues. So we want to fix that. And what I could do is I could avoid the problem by getting a 3.5 millimeter jack extension cord. And they're easy, they're cheap, and you can easily replace them. The issue is that sometimes you'll lose quality, and it's just kind of a grab bag depending on what you get and which company you get, whether it's shielded. It's like there's a lot of like I don't know how well these people made this, but it's cheap, and it's cheaper to replace that than it is to put a new jack on the end of my expensive headphones. The other one is I saw like these 90-degree elbows here, but and the idea is that you like minimize the distance, how far it goes out, so it doesn't like lever the weight down as much, and so that reduces stress. But I've been looking at reviews on these and they're all terrible. So I don't think that's going to be a very good solution. And then there's this one, which is alleviates strain by whenever weight pushes down here, it transfers it over to the case. So it's pushing up on this. And this is much stronger and more robust than the inside of the 3.5 millimeter jack port. And we can iterate it because we own it. And it is technically materials-wise the cheapest because we're 3D printing it. However, it is probably the most difficult route and the most time-intensive route. But if we enjoy doing it, and I've been looking for a project, then why not? Yeah. So that's what we're doing. So I'm trying to think if there are other ways we can restrain it. I kind of want to keep it all the way on the bottom here because I want to be, what if I need to close the lid? I don't want to add like plastic shims here that will cause this to separate out. It would honestly probably be okay, but it would also be more difficult to design. Something I might do is if I really need to, I might just have a very small lip right here. But I think we might be able to get away with the strap idea. Using like normal cable ties or reusable cable ties. And I think that would be good. So let's open up. And I'm going to use SolidWorks today just because it is the one I am the most familiar with. And my license is expiring in like 20 days anyway, so I might as well use it. I'm considering renewing my license, but I'm not sure because Fusion 360 is free. So, you know, kind of hard to argue with free. But so is FreeCAD 1.9, but it doesn't have as many nice features. Okay. So based on what we have, I'm going to import this picture into my model. So when we're designing something that we're like adapting to something that's already been designed. One, that's much harder than designing in the entire thing from scratch because it's hard to measure things. And I don't have a 3D scanner. If I had a 3D scanner, this would be probably really easy, but I don't yet. Maybe in a couple months I'll put the money down for one. But yeah, but for now we're going to use a photo. Oh, I had already done that. Sketch, commands, picture. Yeah, sketch picture. We're going to go to desktop and we're going to take this in. And I try to get this, a 3D scanner. Yeah. I like the idea just because I have a computer that can probably handle it. Oh. So I'm not super worried about that. I'm in inch pounds. Okay. Ooh, actually, we're going to go back. We're going to millimeters just because it's a higher resolution on this ruler. Sketch 2. Okay. There's a part of this program that's not working, so I'm trying to like work around it. So the first thing we're going to do is we have to like have a reference scale. And this may or may not work. And we want it to be as long as possible to like try and get around any possible like So the shorter you make your reference length, the more error you can introduce. So we don't want that. The other thing that I am worried about is this not being completely flat. And this is where like a 3D scanner would be nice, because it doesn't matter if it's not flat, because we have 3D information. And this, we just have a 2D plane. So that was 1, 2, 3, 3.5. Yeah. A little more than 3.5. 3.5 centimeters. So 350 millimeters. I have to do this. So normally this program can do the conversion on its own, but there's something that's like missing. There's like a missing folder somewhere, and it's not happy. It's not happy with like me typing in like words. There's some Visual Studio folder. I think it's a registry error. And the folder's there, but it can't open it for some reason. That's duty. Yeah. Yeah, but you can start to see where this gets complicated, because the camera is focusing over here. And I'm just assuming that this curve stays the same all the way down the length, down to the jack. But that may not be true. So it's like, who knows? But we're going to try to do our best with this. Because of how light and camera lenses work, this may be distorted. So a camera is not always the best source of truth for a design. It's a good reference, but it's definitely not the greatest. Okay. So we've done that. Okay. So let's move this down more, closer to the origin. The origin is kind of like the center. It's where the program does all its math from. So if we can get it closer, it'll be easier to print, because it'll spawn this point at the center of any 3D print. If I have it all the way here, it'll always spawn like the item all the way off of the print bed. It just adds an extra step and more math for the computer to do. Okay. So now I'm going to open up my drawing tools, and I'm going to do a spline. Actually, which spline are we having here? Do a style spline. A Bezier spline will be fine. I think I'll do 3 points. I think that should be able to get me what I need. Yeah, so a spline is kind of weird because it's not like a normal shape. But what I'm kind of trying to do is I'm trying to match up this curve that they've made. Okay. Make it 400 millimeters. It's 40. Yeah. Wait, 400 millimeters? Wait a second. There's no way that is... Something's wrong here. Something is horribly, horribly wrong. Exit sketch. Shoot. It should be centimeters. So yeah, no, so I should multiply by 10, then I get millimeters. 1, 2, 3.5. Yeah, so 350. This is stuff that you really want to have like locked down before you get too far into the design, because changing it halfway through the design is a pain in the butt. You know what's how we can like very quickly solve this? Let's just make a line from here to here and see how 350. But what's my shoot, what's my build plate size? Let's see. Do I have here's a slicer. This is the first time you're using Prusa Slicer 2.4. Not really. No, it's fine. What's my build volume again? Let's go to printer settings. 210 millimeters. That, yeah, no, that just doesn't seem right. Oh, it should be 30, not 350. It should be 35 millimeters. I am the big dumb. I realized the math error I made. Okay. We could scale it later, but I don't trust the scaling process, so we're going back. The only 3D modeling software I've used is Google SketchUp, barely at that. I can make precise 3D models, but I definitely don't remember how now. Yeah, it's definitely a skill that you develop over time. It's kind of an art form. And it definitely, the modeling, how you approach 3D modeling changes depending on your application. So like I am using like vector, what's it called? Like I'm using measurements and constraints, and I forget what that's called, but it's like different from using Blender, where you kind of poke and prod at meshes until they fit what you want. 1 second. I don't know an easy way to like reset the the scale. I've tried looking it up, but the unfortunate thing with SolidWorks is that it is not open source. So it's kind of hard. You kind of have to like act on tribal knowledge of like a bunch of old dudes that have been using the software since like the early 2000s. And they're not always the most helpful. Or whatever training resources Dassault has decided to give you, but those are not always great. But it does have a lot of really nice features and simulation plugins, so that is nice. It's all in one package. 35 millimeters, not 350, because it was 3.5 centimeters, not 35 centimeters. Yeah, it's great for building house models, more practical than Blender. Yeah, so when it comes to house models, I think a lot of people actually use Autodesk, which is more of like a command line type thing. So it's kind of like the Linux of 3D modeling to the Windows of like SolidWorks. And I love how this throws this all the way over here for some reason. Hello? What the heck? What? Huh? It's being weird. It's a feature, not a bug. Oh, it kicked me out of the sketch for some reason. That's weird. Why would you do that? I don't know what I hit to make it do that. Like, I don't know, and I've been using SolidWorks for how many years now? Years. I don't use it at work because I'm not in design engineering right now. Which is partially why I wanted to do this project, so I don't get rusty. I'm hoping to move to design engineering in the next few years. But, I mean, it is what it is. Sketch picture. If I exit sketch. What field of engineering now? So oh, there it is. They have me doing quality engineering. And I'm doing it just because that's the position that was offered. Where the heck is where did the origin go? Oh my gosh. Don't do this to me. Holy crap. How do I move the origin? But yeah, so it's not so much in the design. It's more of in... It's tough because there are a lot of different things in quality engineering, but we're in charge of the process of making sure that parts are manufactured per the like original designs. So a lot of how we do that is through like inspections. So we don't physically go and do the inspections. We are the ones that are assigning the people to do the inspections. And like when people come to us with problems, they're like, hey, we're noticing this isn't getting done. We're the ones that we're kind of like the detectives. We go in and we investigate and we talk with like all the different engineering departments. And then we either fulfill or reject their requests. Yeah, it is important, but nobody likes us because we're like the wet blanket in the engineering world. I'm like, no, Frank, you can't put the inspection in because it would literally do nothing. A good example is there were like some hydraulic clamps that were getting missed, and they were getting picked up somewhere like down the line. They were noticing, and the guys that are seeing that is like, oh, you got to put an inspection in because like it's going to be the cheapest and fastest solution. We're like, okay, well, hold up, let us investigate first. And they kept like trying to push us to just do it. And I pushed back. I said, no, I'm not saying no to your request. I'm saying I am not going to make a decision right now. I need to investigate. I'm glad I did because after talking with everybody, like the people that are manufacturing and also the people that are in charge of like the original designs and stuff like that, and the quality, the inspectors, it turns out everybody is aware of this problem. It's there was something fundamentally wrong with how the instructions were written. And so the mechanics were installing it correctly, but then like the inspectors would come in and they can't make an exception on their inspection. They're like, no, this isn't installed in this step. You can't do that. And so now we're investigating like where those needs to be put in, but we put something in. So like temporarily those are being installed on that step, but it should probably be installed earlier, and that's what we're looking into. Detective Aches are on the case. It really does feel like that. But yeah, I basically gave them an email as like, hey, yeah, we're not doing the thing that you said, but we are fixing the problem. So, yeah, it is a lot of paperwork. I look at a lot of engineering drawings and like documents. But I do that, but I walk like 5 miles a day because the factory I work in is so large. So like I'm at my desk, I do work, I like do research, and then I go out and like I do like almost interrogations. Or it sounds bad, but like I'm not trying to be mean to people. I just need to fully understand like everything before I implement a solution. Weird. It kicked me out of the sketch again. Okay. Well, now I can see the origin now, so that's good. No, seriously, like the shop, they were so angry, not at me, but at my mentor. And I was like listening to my mentor talk. I'm like, shut up, shut up, shut up, stop saying things. You're just making them more angry. I don't think he was picking up on that though. But it may be because like English isn't his first language. So he may have not been picking up what they were throwing down. So yeah, of all the engineering stuff, like social skills in this one are pretty important. I'm okay with it because I'm working. So it doesn't drain my social batteries like going to social events does. But I definitely put a lot of the skills that I learned when I was doing like volunteer work. I definitely use those a lot. On like reading like between the lines, it was like you're not just reading, but like you like ask clarifying questions. You fully define like it's not so much like that the message was delivered. You're making sure that the message is received. If that makes any sense. Oh boy, plus smarter people can have a tougher time with social communication. I know others are not very understanding of it. Yeah, so the reason I am better to some degree is because I spent like several years doing volunteer work abroad. And I built up, I don't want to say like social skills, but like the soft skills that people are looking for like management and stuff. Which is why in a lot of projects that I've been in, I have been the manager. But I don't want to stay like the manager, if you know what I mean. But yeah, no, I definitely, it very much drains me to do stuff socially when I'm like in person. I think it like triggers my flight or fight response. And it has to do with stuff like how I was raised, unfortunately. When I went out of country, I came back, I realized that my family life, I had been looking at it through like rose tinted goggles, and that's fine, like, but then I realized that like not everything was fine. And I was also struggling a lot with like depression at the time, so I was like discovering a lot of new things about myself. Okay. So this is kind of the same like in FreeCAD, what we were doing, where like we draw a sketch and then we like expand it out. So actually, let me, oh shoot. Maybe I should have done this earlier. 1 second, I need to go get some calipers. I gotta measure the general diameter of this jack head. 1 second. Where did I put them? Oh no, I can't find my calipers. Okay, I'm back. That's a cool concept, being able to use the picture. Yeah, it's really common in it's really common when you're like designing something around something that's already been like manufactured. but I very much doubt I'm going to get the dimensions completely right the first time. That's like a not very common thing. Okay, 11.76 millimeters. Probably only accurate within a little under 0.1 millimeters. So I'm going to say 11.8. And these are not, like, these are not super accurate. So let's make these like we can do like 3 millimeters on each sides. So 11.8 plus 6 should be 17.8. Okay. We shall make it thick. The thickening. To midplane. Okay. Now here comes the fun part. We need to choose where we're going to like place stuff here. Okay. I want this to stay visible. Okay. And the reason why I want this to stay visible is because I kind of want to see where I need to center this. We'll sketch in the front plane again, because it's perfectly in the middle. So yeah, you can see like this, where a lot of the decisions I'm making are coming from my experience of using the software a lot. And I'm thinking about like, there's no one right way to do this, but I am thinking about like, if I need to come back and I need to tweak dimensions, how can I best do this without breaking everything I've done prior? So the order in which you do things is really important for when you're editing stuff, because these lists, this is a list of time-wise how this how the computer is generating it. So the order in which I do these, it is applying it. So I can actually like, I can roll this back, I can roll it forward. I only have one feature right now, so that doesn't do us much, but we will have one soon. But you can like roll things back and you can insert things like halfway through. And oftentimes you don't want to do that if you can help it, because it can break things depending on how you've set up your, like, how the references that it's measuring from. But yeah. So I want these to be parallel. And I'm not going to use up here as the center point, because we already established that like it's sagging. So I'm going to use this as my source of truth for straightness. However, I am going to make this in the midpoint. Did I already do the midpoint? Did it get it? Select midpoint. I think I did. Okay, perfect. So it's connected to the midpoint. Now let me make these to reference geometry. So what reference geometry does is that when I make a solid piece out of my sketch, my drawing, it ignores reference pieces. And that's useful because then I can like for this, I'm trying to find like the center of this jack. I want to make like, imagine like cutting like in a circular motion. I want to cut out the shape of this jack. Okay, yeah, 11.8 centimeters. And then I should probably measure out how far out I want to go too. We'll do that later. Just so I have it like on hand. Yeah, so to do this, I'm going to make a rectangle. And this is going to be the plane that I'm going to like sweep around in a circle and cut all the material out. We're going to do half of 11.8. I probably need to calculate it myself because I think the math portion in here is broken right now. And I think the solution is reinstalling Windows, and I don't want to do that. So half of 11.8 is 5 plus 5.5 plus 0.4. So that's 5.9. Or I could just, I guess I could boot up the calculator. I don't trust myself with numbers. Hello? Oh, it's installing the calculator? Why was calculator just not installed? That's one of the few Windows things that I don't nuke on a new installation of Windows. Divide by 2. Yeah, 5.9. 5.9 millimeters. Yeah, this may not be perfectly straight on. But we'll do it for now just so we can print it out and we can figure out like what it's doing. Features. Oh, and let's figure out how long we want this to be. That's right. That's the other thing we were trying to do. Let me zero out this. This is one of the things where normally you want to like write this stuff down beforehand. Okay, I'd say like do 38 millimeters. And that is longer than actually what we've provided out here. So let me edit this sketch really quick. Exit that sketch. I'll go into this sketch. I don't want to change any of this right now. .75. That seems good. We'll make this 38. Oops, and it did the thing that I didn't want it to do. Bring it back down. All right. Yeah, so we could do 38 here, but now, like, because of this little section right here, it's not perfectly 38. So I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to extend this a little bit out. And since we have 38 like written down somewhere, I'm not too worried about this being too far out. Just because this is like our initial prototype. This is the Mark 1. All right. We'll do revolved cut. We're going to cut it around here. A blind 360 degrees. So you can see here it's going to cut all this out. All right, and I guess... yeah, I just kind of want to see how this fits. And if this works, then we'll design in, like, stuff down here for, like, straps and stuff. But for now, I just want to see if this works. If not, we can note where things are not matching up. And like take notes, and we can kind of fiddle and eyeball things. Unfortunately, a lot of this is like fiddling and eyeballing, so yeah, it is what it is. I do think I'm going to put a fillet on these. And 10 millimeters is way too big of a radius for this. 2 millimeters. Still too big. How about 1? Basically nothing. Oh, and no tangent propagation. Dang. Oh, I don't have preview on. Okay. No, give me a full preview. My computer can handle it. Like, my computer is not even... The fans aren't even spooling up. Although, if I... if I spin this model around, I can probably get the fans to fire up. As the graphics card screams. No, I am kind of... maybe I will update my license, because... maybe the 2023 added some more improvements, because I know the 2020 version of SolidWorks, I was a huge fan of the updates that they made. It made things work a lot better. Oh, whoops. Yeah, so here's the thing. It does not... yeah, so something in Visual Basic, there's a file, I know where it is, but it's not being accessed correctly. And so when you can put in like words in here and it will like interpret things with certain commands, but it relies on Microsoft's Visual Studio, and for some reason it's just not... the file's there, but it's not doing things. I think you need a registry edit, and I am not the person to do that at all. I should not have that power. So yeah. Okay, and I guess we can fillet these edges too, because they're not pressed up against anything. So yeah, and there's another way we can fillet. So we can right click as well. Yeah. And now we think how we print it. I think we're going to print it up and down this way. I think that would give us the cleanest. But we can also print it up and down this way, and that will probably... I want to say it would be the fastest. We can see which one is the fastest. Let's save this for now. And the documents. Toothbrush holder, but let's go back to documents. Honestly, I should probably do a new folder, do like 3D parts. Because I have a bunch of other stuff like Metal Gear Rising for some reason installs in the documents. That's where it's happy. Okay, and this is the headphone strain relief. I also need to make like a headphone stand for my office too. I finally got like my sit stand desk set up, but there's just one piece that keeps flopping around. I'm just gonna call this M1. We can iterate on this. And then we need to save this as that's just like a part. So that basically saves all this work over here that we're doing. So I'm going to save it as a different file type. I'm going to save it as a 3D manufacturing format. A lot of people do STL, but I prefer .3mf because it's much more compressed. So you can have more files and it has more information. Yeah, no, that's fine. Like, it won't look the same. That's fine. I'm just using it for the 3D model. Okay, now that we've done that, we can go back here to our slicer. And the slicer, what that does is it converts our 3D file to machine instructions that the 3D printer can understand. Okay, so this isn't a super big part. The reason I do 3MF is because I tend to have very large numbers of faces, because I like to, honestly, probably more than I need to, make my files big, because I like having the smooth edges. I don't like on curves. I do not like the look of these because it will show up in the part, but that's just an aesthetic reason. But yeah. So let's see about how long it would take. About 30 minutes to print this way. And technically it would be stronger this way because when the layers try to delaminate, the force on this side is going to be up and down. And so the layers are this way, so they're not going to like shear apart. And then same on this way. We can print it the other way, which will give us a cleaner curve. But, oh, okay, this also takes longer. Yeah, because, okay, because probably because it has to do different passes. So you want it to take as little time as possible so that the part remains as evenly heated as possible as well. Because if you heat one side of the part but not the other, you get like weird... It will start to bend as it cools on one end, and that leads to warping. So we want this to be done as quickly as possible and heated as evenly as possible. And fill 15%. Yeah, that'll be fine. Let me see. Let's take a look-see inside of the part. See if I'm happy. Yeah, that should work really well. Okay. I think we are ready. I'm going to go throw this onto an SD card. I'm going to start the print. Oh, sure. I should probably go get the SD card. I'm excited for the Prusa Mark IV. I guess sort of. Like, it brings some modern features. We'll see when it comes out. We'll see what the reviews are, if it's worth me upgrading. I am by no means a Prusa elitist. However, I very much, that being said, over like the Ender free, I very much appreciate not having to tune as much every single time I print. It just, something you'll hear a lot with people that do 3D printing is they, you know, they'll say the Prusa just works. And it kind of, yeah, it just works. It's not the best at what it does. So it's not like the fastest printer. It's not the most accurate printer. It's not the biggest printer. But it is a very reliable and stable printer. And that's the nice thing about it. Okay. Well, we'll see how that works. I'm going to exit out. No, we don't need to save changes. We won't save that. We have records of it. It'll be fine. All right. So I think that being said, I think I'm done for tonight. But yeah, no, thank you everybody for coming and stopping by. Thank you, Pond. I hope that you're having a good shift. I think, or that you get some good rest for tomorrow. But yeah, it is kind of late. Let me see. Let's see if there's anybody doing anything. Not anybody that I can immediately see. So I think I'm just going to call it for tonight. But yeah, no, thank you everybody for coming by. I super appreciate it. On other notes, I am actively talking with the artist for my new PNG model, and it's really coming together. It's looking really good. So I'm excited for when that comes out. And then I have some like branding stuff that I think I have like some new like screens, overlays, and like I have a logo now, and I think I'm going to start incorporating those. So yeah, it'll be fun. Anyway, thank you guys again for showing up, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.